In 1890, Britain and Germany signed a treaty regarding their colonial ambitions in East Africa. Britain would get Kenya and Germany would get Tanzania. One of the little extras of this treaty was that Britain would give Germany the small island of Heligoland in exchange for the Sultanate of Zanzibar. Germany wanted Heligoland because it stood at the entrance to this new cool canal they had built, and they feared that a foreign power would be able to put artillery there and block it up in the event of a war. Britain wanted Zanzibar because they saw it as a key base for slavery and had been interested in controlling it for nearly a century. Britain had already been dealing with Zanzibar for a little while and had pressured its Sultan, Bargash, into ending slavery in 1873. But he didn't, because he was a gangster who took the money and then kept doing his thing anyway. And Britain got mad.
Huh?
In 1890, in accordance with the treaty, the British showed up to liberate the island kingdom, which they did. They let the new Sultan Ali stay in autonomous control, but the British were the real sovereigns. They brought in British lawyers and politicians to control the government and had the right to choose who would become Sultan when the old Sultan died, to ensure long-term control over the land. They began the process of ending slavery, but were soon troubled by this spectre haunting the island. You see, before Britain took over Zanzibar, the old conniving Sultan Bargash had died, but he wasn't succeeded by his son Khalid. Khalid was too busy chilling in the crib because he was just 14 years old and he was easily overpowered by his other family members when his father died. But when Ali died in 1893, Khalid was now a big boy of 19 and he wanted to take back the throne that he believed was his and stop the British from having all this influence in the country. So he marched up to the palace and forced his way in and said, "I'm the king now!" And then the British gave him a quick reminder of what happened last time they were disrespected. Less than 5 minutes after trying to reclaim the throne, he quickly left and the British-backed Sultan took over as if nothing had happened. So Khalid spent his time seething and coping and moulding and building up his forces for his next chance. The Sultan died again and Khalid had no chance because the British already preferred his cousin Hamoud. Hamoud was much friendlier to them and would help them complete the ban on slavery. Khalid had been assembling an army and he was now quick to rush in when the old Sultan died. But how could Khalid have known if the old Sultan had died if it happened in private in the middle of the palace? Suspicious. Khalid moved into the palace with his boys, buried the old Sultan, and then proclaimed himself the new Sultan. The British tried to warn him again, but he said, "No!" Or he really would have said, "Lugh," because that's how you say no in Arabic. So the British retreated and debated on what to do. They decided the best and most humane course of action would be to kill everyone who stood in their way. Khalid had gathered an army of about 3,000 guys, with 700 of them being professionals and the remainder being conscripts and slaves. He had a collection of old cannons and one old ship, while the British had the most powerful military the world had ever seen at that point. 2 days after becoming Sultan, Khalid woke up to find...
Huh?
The British had gathered a big fleet in his bay and were surrounding his only ship. Additionally, they had landed marines and were preparing to attack. At 9:02 AM, Britain declared war on Zanzibar, destroyed their only ship, and then started their assault on the palace. Khalid's cannons were destroyed immediately, and he fled to the German embassy while he left his soldiers behind. Over 500 of them died in a nearly 38-minute bombardment of Zanzibar before a surrender was achieved, the British flag was raised, and Hamoud became Sultan. Khalid lived out the rest of his days in exile while Hamoud ended slavery under the British flag and Britain maintained control of Zanzibar until the 1960s. And so now Zanzibar has the humiliation of being the place that lost the shortest war in history at just 38 minutes long, all because this guy wasn't pleased with living as a rich royal with no responsibilities his entire life and instead decided he would take on the most powerful military in the world with just one ship and a bunch of conscripts. Okay, that's the video, bye, please subscribe and watch my other cartoons.